Jared from Southern Homesteads here. Before we get started on today's video, I got to ask you, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on our videos. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to raffle off some of our Southern Homesteads authentic living gear. So do us the favor and hit the button. Now, today's video, we're going to go through how we build eaves and how we install them onto our building, which is the last step before we get to put up rafters and start to roof and dry it in. Okay, for our eave install, we're going to work a little bit backwards today. As you can see, this is what we call a boxed ladder eave. It's already installed on this side of the cabin. We're going to walk you through how we did this and why we did this. But I will say this is probably one of the more, I guess, complex or areas that can get confusing because we're dealing with two different rafters, a couple of different angles, and a couple different size of board. So I just wanted to take a second and explain to you and show you the overview before we start with the build, so hopefully it'll make life easier. On the outside, we have a 2x8 board here. This is our fascia board. We have on the inside, might be a little difficult to see down there, we're gonna have 12 3/4 inch 2x6 boards, and those are attached to a 2x6 runner that goes all the way down. Now, a couple of things to note. This, the one that aims to the back, has a 40-degree angle on each side and technically is a reversible board. The one that goes to the front, which is shorter because it's going to meet a porch, has a 40-degree on one side and a 50-degree on the other. So it absolutely matters what direction gets nailed in. So we're going to walk through these on the ground and hopefully we can make this make sense. Now, a couple things to note as we do this. If you guys haven't noticed, we do everything we can from the loft space up top. I don't like ladders. It's not that they're not a useful tool and an incredibly effective tool. They can also be a very dangerous tool. So we're going to show you how we install these from the loft up top without having to get on a ladder outside. We'll use a small step ladder inside just to reach to the peak, but let's get started. Now that we're going to assemble the eave, we're going to try to make this as simple as we can. So we're going to start with the back wall, which is going to be our longest board, okay? We have a 40-inch cut on this end, 40-degree cut on this end, and a 40-degree cut on that end. Now, the easiest way to do this is I like to just take it, set it up against your wall here. I'm just going to put one screw in it just to hold it. Okay, now if you look, this is going to sit up at the peak and needs to be my line there. The other end is going to be opposite. That's going to be the end of the rafters. It's going to be the mirrored angle. So now I'm going to take my 2x6. I'm going to go ahead and start a screw in this. Before I do that, I'm actually going to write on this. I want to write on this side, top, this side. I'm just going to write in or inside, okay? Now I'm going to take my 2x6. Start my screw now. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to write, before I put this up, we're matching this up, that angle to that angle. So I'm going to write on the inside of this. I'm just going to go ahead and write in. On the top, I want to write top. Now, I'm going to match this up with the peak. I'm not worried about the bottom side at all. They're not going to be the same length. So once I've got it matched up on the peak, I'm going to put a couple put a screw in, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and do my layoff. Okay, so we're doing the exact same that we did before on 16-inch centers, except this is going to be on a 24-inch center. So it's still going to be the 3/4 back method. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the face so you can see it. So rather than going to 16, I'm going to go to 2 feet. I'm going to put my X. I'm going to come 1/4 back. I'm going to put my line, okay? Skip 1 foot, go to 4 feet. X. Line. 6 feet. Gets my X. And then my line. Now, my last one, I'm just going to line up. I want it to only come to the end. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one while we're at it. Right here. So it's just going to come to the point right there. So I need to make sure that I throw my X to the inside on that one. So I'm going to mark my top one there. Now, while I've got these here, I'm just going to slide all the way up. I'm going to mark them. Okay, last one. Okay, my top one, I can mark it, but I don't need to. It's going to be flush with the outside here. If you want to put an X here, just to give you a reminder that something is needed there, that's fine. You should have 5 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your last one would be your 5th. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down, and we're going to set this on the ground. Now I need to mark, go ahead and just sit down. Now I'm going to transfer my lines to the inside. Okay. Now this is where this is going to get a little bit tricky. I need the top of this to be flush with the top of this when we put our braces in. So we're actually going to build it upside down. So I want the top up. I want my in faced in. Now I'm going to take my my top down and my in faced in. Now I'm going to take this one down. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to transfer my lines. So when we transfer our lines, we want to make sure that we transfer that to the side that says in. I just transferred those to the side that said out. So in. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this one up. The top will be facing down. The in will be facing my other board. Now I'm simply going to start up top. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to lay this one flush on the ground and flush with this. So you see it's not going to come all the way down to the edge there because our back corner's meeting. So go ahead and put it there and nail this one off. I'm going to do the same with the other side. Flush. Now I can simply just move down my eave with my other blocks. I like to put 3 nails in each one. I need one more of these, Buster. Okay, one last block down here. Okay, so this eave is built. We're going to move up top. I'm going to show you how we put a brace on the outside to help us hold this. And we'll get this one installed and come back and build our next one. So now I'm going to take one of these spare 2x6 blocks. In your first eave kit that you open up, there'll be 4 spare ones of these that you're going to use through this build. Okay, I'm going to set this. I'm just going to use my Kramer square. I want this to be flush with the top of my wall. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and clamp this first just to make sure that I like it. Then we're going to put a couple screws in this. Okay, feels good. Just do one more quick double check. Screw down this end. Okay, double check this side one more time. Look great. I'm going to put a screw right here in this end. Now I'm going to move down to the bottom side of my wall and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to grab one of the 2x4s that we've been using as bracing this whole way. I'd recommend getting a couple screws started in this, especially if you're holding it yourself. I'm simply going to take this board over the top. Now, I don't want to go all the way to the peak because I don't want to interfere with my next one. Now, I'm tied up against my blocks. I don't care that it runs long. All I care about is that I'm tied up against these blocks. So, okay, now that that's screwed off, I'm going to go ahead and remove these blocks I put in. Now I'm going to take this block that I just removed. I'm going to move my ladder real quick, but I'm going to come about 12 inches down, and I'm going to screw this block in perpendicular to this 2x4. There's no critical measurement on this. I just kind of line up the bottom, and you're just aiming for about a foot. All these boards right now are serving. This is all going to get removed after our eave is up. These boards are simply, this one is the ledger. We're going to set our 2x6 down onto this when we get our eave up here. These are going to keep it from rolling off on us. So we're not having to fight this once we get it into place, so we can move it anywhere we want and we can do it comfortably. Okay, I'm going to move now to the bottom one. And again, the location of these, when you install them, isn't critical. You don't want it to be in the way of one of your 2x6s that are coming up here. So about a foot keeps everything out of the way. Here. And we'll put one more in it. Okay, this next part, I strongly recommend you have a second person. I mean, I guess technically you could do it by yourself. It makes life a lot easier though. So Buster's going to come to the inside. He's going to hand that eave up to me, and then he's going to come up here and just help me roll it off into place. Okay, now we're just going to simply take this eave, we're going to roll it over the side, we're going to clip it behind these 2x6s that are sticking out, and we're going to get it rested down on the 2x4. So you kind of got to watch your house wrap a little bit if the edge isn't secure on it. But make sure your 2x8 is to the outside. You gotta come down. There you go. Now, technically, you can let go of this right now and you're safe. Your eave's not going to roll off your house. So just make sure it's secure. Now we're going to go ahead and use a clamp, and we're going to adjust this and make any adjustments that we need. We want this 2x6 flush with the top of our wall. We want the peak of this matched with the peak of our roof up there. So, how do you look? A little more? Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and put a clamp on this. Now we can check the top with our square. We just want to make sure that we're square with the top of the wall. So I need to come up just a hair on my side. Okay, and I'm going to put a couple of screws in this just as a temporary hold. We're going to come back and hit this with structural screws. But for this moment, when you put your screws in, we're looking to hit the top plate on this wall, not just the sheathing. Okay, I'm going to put one more up top. Okay, this ladder eave is now hooked up. It's not going to go anywhere. We've just got a temporary held in with screws. Again, we're going to come back with structural screws. We're going to go ahead and build the other side. Just a quick note, the eave is not going to come, this 2x6 up against the house is not going to come past your sheathing, and it might be a little bit short. That's just fine. That's where we want it to sit. So we're going to go downstairs. We're going to build our next one, and then we'll come back up and we're going to repeat this process. Okay, this one gets a little bit trickier just because of our angles. Okay, this side is a 50 degree. That side is a 40 degree. We need the 40 degree to be up on top. And so we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to put my 50 degree down at the bottom. With this eave board, the way that they're going to lay out, in order for us to do it this way, I've got to pick both sides off the ground. So I'm just going to put a screw in here. That's my 2x8. And I'm just going to pick this up just a little bit. Now I can take my 2x6. We're going to line it up with the top. Actually, before I do that, I want to write on this. The mating surfaces, I like to write in, and then top on the top. Just like I did with the last one, I'm going to mark my corner down here. I'm going to put my X above it, so I know I've got my board there. Then I'm going to measure off of the top. We're going to go 24 is my line. I'm sorry, 24 is my X. 23 1/4 is my line. We're going to move to the 4 foot. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then when we get to the 6 foot, I'm going to do the same thing here. Now I'm going to transfer those lines across both and then unscrew them from the wall, lay them upside down on the floor. I'm going to take my first one. I'm going to transfer the lines to the side that says in. Oops. Happens to all of us. Wrong side. Okay. Now, I want this to be the side that says top, needs to be down and towards my outside wall. Pull off my second board. Very important. You want the side that says in. Okay. In is facing in, top is facing down. We're going to line these up and nail them off. Okay, our second eave is built. We're ready. We're going to go upstairs. We're going to do the blocking and runner just like we did before. If you're running short on 2x4s, just note you don't need any of the bracing that was on the inside of your building anymore. So just like we did on the other side, we're going to take the block, take my framer square right across the top of my wall. I want this block to be straight. Like I said, I like to use a clamp. Things sometimes move when you put a screw in them. This gives me the ability to just do a final adjustment. A little low. Good there. The location of these blocks, I'm just kind of putting one at the top and one at the bottom. It's not critical because it's just to set the distance for our next one. Now, just like before, I'm going to take my 2x4. I'm going to butt it up with the bottom of this. I want it to stop shy of the peak. I don't want anything interfering with my adjustment of those. So grab that, get that screwed off.
Improper ladder. Freewheel in it.
This is why ladders are dangerous. And we're ready. So we're going to go ahead and hand this eave up. We're going to get it lined up, matched up with our top. We'll screw all of this together and get ready for the other side. All right, just like we did with the other one, we're just going to, the 2x6 is going up against our gable end. The 2x8 is going to be on the far end. We're going to pick this up, slide it over the top of our blocks, slide it in. Okay, when we go to align this, the thing that's most critical is where these two are going to meet at the peak. You're pulling on, so we can't pull in. So just look on the outside one. I'm more concerned about the outside than I am the inside. It doesn't matter where the inside sits. We want that joint up top to be clean on the outside. You can clamp those two together if you want. You just clamp the two together. Okay, so now that our alignment's good, we're going to grab a couple of structural screws. We're going to first screw our top together. We want to pull that joint perfectly tight as we can on the outside here. Yeah, can you raise yours up any more? A little more. I like that better. So now you're just going to work your alignment down this wall. We're going to take the structural screws and we're going to put one in each bay, and then we're going to put a total of 4 up top connecting the two halves together. But the one in your bay, I kind of aim for the center, and make sure you're hitting a top plate or a stud. Now we've got our eave is up. It is totally secure. Now we're just going to go ahead and remove this blocking, move to the other side. All right, eave 1 complete.